Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm actually going to be doing something a little bit different. I thought it'd be cool to give you an insight into how much I spend on a given month of the year. So given that I watch a lot of these videos on YouTube and on TikTok, I thought that I would make one myself because it always is interesting seeing and getting a glimpse to someone else's life and, getting insight into how much a typical person spends in a given month. So to start off, just going to set a couple of ground rules. The first being that I'm going to be taking a look at my average monthly expense. So I actually keep a very detailed account of how much I spend, and I've been doing so for over 2 years. So what I'll be doing is just taking an average of how much I've spent and taking out very high purchases such as travel or, any out of the ordinary purchase because that could really skew the average. And I'll just be taking a look at on a given perfect month, how much I would be spending approximately. The second thing I'll be doing is actually breaking it up into needs versus wants. This is a little bit of business school me coming out into this video, but essentially needs would be anything that I need to pay for on a month-to-month basis, and wants are just some things that I want and that are not really necessary. So the way I like to think about it is, let's say I had to suddenly cut my spending, where I would cut is all my wants, but the needs would relatively stay the same because it's the stuff I need to continue paying for. And lastly, you'll see that there are a couple of expenses that I pay for on a yearly basis. So what I've done in this case is just divided them up per month so you can see how much I would be spending per month for that particular expense. Alright, so before I start looking into my expenses, I thought I'd cover the main way I make money right now, and that is through my 9-to-5 corporate job. I've made a couple of videos about my experiences in this role as an advertising specialist or as a associate consultant. They'll probably be linked somewhere over here. But to summarize, I work in a technology and telecom company, and I completed a rotational program, and I'm now working full-time in a permanent role, and that is how I make most, if not all, of my money. I do make some money here and there through YouTube. The goal is to build other sources of income, so we'll see how that pans out, but for now my main source of income is my 9-to-5 corporate job. So now that we have that covered, let's take a look into what my expenses are. So to start off, like I said, I'm going to be starting with my needs. So when it comes to my needs, the biggest category over here is my living expenses. And in living expenses, I include house payment. You see how it's called house payment and not rent. This is because I do still live with my parents, and that is the biggest hack for saving money. So in this category, I pay around $700 a month towards living expenses. And this is just to help out my parents with the mortgage, with groceries, utilities, and etc. I know I'm privileged to be living with my parents because if I was living on rent, I would be paying $2,000 plus just on living expenses. So I do save a lot of money. If you're able to, I highly recommend staying with your parents for at least a couple of years just so you can get your foot off the ground, save money. Because once you start living on your own, the expenses are just going to skyrocket. So once again, the total in this category is $700. The next category that I'll be looking at is transportation. So within transportation, I've included a couple of different things. Primarily, the biggest cost for me is my car. I actually do have a car, and cars are very expensive to maintain and pay for. So when it comes to this category, car insurance is my highest expense on a monthly basis, which is around $200. The second would be gas, around $125. Now this is a little variable, but generally speaking, I will be around this $125 mark. Next is car washes. So I actually pay a monthly subscription for a car wash service that's just down the house for me. I find it really convenient, especially in the wintertime when your car just gets absolutely covered with salt stains and just looks nasty. It's good to just be able to go to the car wash whenever you want. And the next subcategory is Ubers in transit. So I will occasionally take an Uber to wherever I need to go, or I'll use public transit. So that generally comes out to around $50 a month. And lastly, you'll see that I included a miscellaneous tab for around $100. So this is just basically to account for anything that I need to maintain on my car. It could be anything from oil changes to tire rotations, changing my winter summer tires, all these different things. Cars do get really expensive, and I actually do have a separate emergency fund just for car expenses. So taking all these things into account, the total for this category is around $500. So the next category we'll be looking at is groceries, and typically I'll spend around $150 a month in groceries. This amount might seem a little low, but once again, I live at home and I'm able to share groceries with my parents and have food at home. So it saves a lot when it comes to buying groceries and preparing for meals. So I'll end up spending around $150 a month in this category. So the next category is actually pet expenses. So I actually have a cat that I got during the pandemic, and cats are relatively low maintenance. So looking into a little bit of the costs for my pet expenses, food is approximately $80 a month. Supplies end up being around $50 a month. Supplies would include litter, toys, and things like that. I do pay insurance for my pet as well. It's around $400 a year, which comes out to, in rounded, $30 a month. And then I do go to the vet once a year, and that costs around $250. Broke it down over 12 months, that's around $20 a month. So that brings the total for pet expenses in a given month to approximately $180. And lastly, within the needs category, I actually included my debt. So the biggest debt I have and the only debt thankfully I have at this point is student loans. And I pay approximately $75. So the reason that this is a need is that I have to pay my debt back, and this is the minimum payment that I pay. I made a video about this a little while ago actually. Interest rate on my student loans is 0%. It's the OSAP student loan in Canada. And because of this, I don't really see a need at this point to pay it back faster. If you want to check out the video, I go a little bit more into details. You can probably see it linked somewhere here as well. Alright, so that covers my needs category, and over here the total is approximately $1,600 a month. Now let's jump over to my wants. Alright, so I hate to admit it, but the highest category in my wants is food and dining. I do actually spend a decent amount of money eating out. I love trying new food places, and it's just something I've always done. So in this category, I spend around $300 a month eating out on average. I'll admit it that this number does go higher towards the end of the year or during the summer when I go out more often, but on average I'll be spending around $300 a month eating out on the weekends with friends or with family. The second part of this is coffee, and I actually end up spending around $50 a month on coffee. So this includes coffee at home, so it can be my French press that I use and I get coffee beans for, or my Keurig. And also it includes going out and having coffee. So that'll be the occasional Starbucks or going to a nice cafe. I do like trying out new coffee places and cafes pretty frequently. I think that coffee from a local cafe tastes so much better than a chain like Starbucks. And it's also a good place to catch up with friends and, hang out. So that brings the total for food and dining / coffee, I guess, to around $350. So the next category I'll be looking at is shopping. And I hate to admit it, but in shopping, I spend around $250 a month on average. And shopping over here includes a variety of different things. So it could be anything that I need for my room, whether it be getting a new lampshade or, getting a new stand for my phone, or it could be clothes and a variety of different things. So I just pair that into shopping. So I spend approximately $250, and I do like buying new clothes and, changing up my style pretty often. So this expense does seem to be high for me. I have been trying to control it a little bit, but I'll end up spending around $250 a month on average for shopping. Next, we'll look at health and wellness. So this category includes anything that I do for my health and wellness, starting off with haircuts. So I spend around $55 a month on haircuts. It is a little bit on the higher end, but honestly, it's been so hard for me to find a good barber to stick to, and I finally did. And I've been going to the same one for, I swear, like 4 years, and he knows like everything about me. The next category is my gym membership, which is around $55 a month, and followed by physio or massage or chiro. So anything in that category, I'll end up spending around $100 a month. The dentist, I spend around $300 a year in cleaning. So majority of it is covered by insurance, but I will have to pay around like 10 or 20%. So that comes to around $300 a year, which is approximately $25 a month, bringing my total for health and wellness to approximately $235. The next category I'll be looking at is entertainment. So this is essentially money that I spend going out and enjoying myself. So this will be things like buying tickets to sports games, concerts, or, going to board game cafes or anything like that. I do like trying new experiences, so I'll try to generally find something new every month and spend money on entertainment, because I feel like it really helps me, take some time off and, relax with my friends. So I'll spend around $100 a month in this category. Next is gifts. And I actually included this category because I end up spending money on gifts every month because it's always a friend's birthday or a family member's birthday. So I'll spend around $100 approximately a month in gifts. And lastly in this category is memberships and fees. So the first thing is my Amazon membership. I pay around $120 a month for Amazon, which comes out to around $10 a month. I order off Amazon pretty often. I'm always ordering stuff like my pet supplies or my protein powders and stuff like that. So it is pretty important to me. Next is Audible. I try to get through audiobooks and replace music with audiobooks, and especially when I'm driving to work and my long commutes. So that's around $15 a month. Next is credit card fees. So I have 2 different credit cards that have monthly fees, and it comes out to around $20. These are more premium credit cards, so they're American Express credit cards, and I think the fees are 100% worth it if you use them correctly. Next is my subscription for Disney Plus. I pay around $15 a month for that. I also pay for YouTube Premium, which is another $15 a month. And lastly, Spotify comes out to around $5 a month because I'm on a family plan and I just pitch in 1/6 of whatever the cost is. I also do have a Netflix, but I don't pay for that. My brother-in-law pays for that, so I just use his account and leech off of him. So that brings the total for this category to around $80 a month. Now doing the math for all of my wants categories, the total here comes down to around $1,100. All right, so that brings us to our grand total of, drumroll please, $2,700 a month that I spend on my wants and needs. I can't really make the statement of this number being high or low because I feel like that's subjective and depends on a variety of different factors, such as how much you actually make, what your financial situation is, but that's just the amount of money I spend. So the one thing that this doesn't include is investments. I do tend to put around, let's say around $1,000 a month towards savings and investments. So that will be on top of this. And a big expense I didn't include in this is travel, where it's easy to spend $1,500 in a given month in just traveling, right? Flight tickets and hotels and everything adds up. If you are curious to know more about how much I spend on travel, let me know and I'm happy to make a video detailing that. I did go on a couple of trips this year, but overall, in an average month, I would be spending around $2,700. So that brings me to the end of this video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you do have any questions about my spending or would like to know more, please reach out to me in my comments and let me know if you'd like to see more personal finance related content, as this is something that I'm trying to, divert a little bit more into because I do keep track of my personal finances pretty well, I'd say. And I'd love to share tips and tricks with people to help them manage their personal finances. Once again, thanks for watching this video, and especially if you made it to the end, and I'll see you next time.